Hello everyone, my name is Zeph and welcome to the Star Network podcast. Today we have our special guest, Amma and Toksy Peters, who are managing and executive directors of Vision Opticals. Hi Amma and Toksy, lovely to have you on the show today.
Hi, we were so happy to be here on the Star Network podcast.
I love that. I absolutely love that. No, guys, so I'm super excited for this session because one, you are my first interview for the year in 2025. So this is going to be really fun. But for many people who don't know what you do, like I mentioned before, you are directors at Visions Optical, which is a family-owned business that has been in operation since, I think, 1989. Exactly. So I think this is one of those episodes where people are going to learn from. The topic is actually continuity of family businesses. And I think our audience is really going to benefit from this. So guys, give us more context to Visions Opticals for those who don't know or those who know and are just curious to what actually happens.
The Visions Opticals was started by my mother in 1989 with seed capital from my dad. See, the family thing started from the beginning. And she was an ophthalmologist. So there are three key words in the eye care business. So there's the ophthalmologist, there is the optometrist, and there's the optician, right? So people have different roles. So an ophthalmologist is an eye surgeon. And my mom used to work in General Hospital then, which is now Lasut in Ikeja. And then she just thought, I could do this on my own. I could have a private practice. So it's a little private practice. She actually used to do surgeries then. And, she had her glasses. She had a knack for picking the best glasses, the most fashionable, the most eccentric. And then after a while, she just thought, this is what I love. This is my passion. And she would travel the world to find the best eyewear pieces. And, from the early days, like when I was in primary school, I would go to the clinic every day after work. And then when I grew older, I would go to the optical fairs and optical shows with my mother. And I'd be like, wow, he's going to wear those glasses. And I guess maybe it was grooming and, we didn't realize. And then we just fell in love with the eyewear business. So that's Visions Opticals in a nutshell. Our focus was always on high-end eyewear, which it still is today. Mm-hmm. And after a while, my mother figured out that retail premises were the key issue. So as malls and retail space grew in Nigeria, she grew with retail spaces. So at our peak, we had 4 locations. So now today we have 3, touch wood, by the end of January. So we're really kind of excited. But the business has taken sort of different forms over the years and has evolved, but the DNA has remained the same.
Yeah, no, thanks, Amma. And thanks for that context of how your mom started it and it started from your mom's passion and funding from your dad. I think a lot of people who are listening to this would actually really benefit because you don't really hear about legacy businesses in Nigeria. Like in abroad, for instance, you maybe just hear, someone's great-grandfather did something and then the children and then the grandchildren. But I think your story is so interesting and so significant because it is possible to have a legacy family business. And we're going to get in deeper into all the amazing things you guys have done, taking over from your mom. But one important thing, and I think it's very important to highlight, credibility. So Visions Opticals is the first Zeiss approved clinics in Nigeria. What does that mean?
So basically, Zeiss is a German optical company. They're the best in optics globally. They also do lenses. They do all the equipment we need to do eye tests. They also do equipment for cancer surgery. So Zeiss is a really huge organization. And we've basically worked with them for the past 7 years. And we've gone through trainings. They have vetted us in so many different ways. And they've approved that our clinic is up to the standard, global standards, basically, and we partner with them. We buy their lenses, we use all their equipment. So you can be sure that at Visions Opticals, we have state-of-the-art equipment. We're in line with all global trends. You get the same here in Nigeria as you get anywhere in the world. Probably better because our clients do say, I've never seen this equipment before when I was in London. This is the first time I've seen it in Nigeria. So we're really pleased and we hope to keep doing better and improving, and technology is really, really key for us. So we're happy we have a partner that's technologically advanced, and we'll continue to grow, and there's more to come. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And thanks, Toksy, for that context. I think what both of you have shared, just being a company that is growing with tech, But, I'm also what you said about your mom used to also do eye surgery. I didn't know that about both of you guys, like that your mom did that, taking such a passion and an interest from, okay, I'm like a doctor. I don't want to use the wrong technical term because you said ophthalmologist and what was the other one? You said optometrist, all the categories, and opticians. I guess the one we all know is an optician, but that she was able to take that passion and say, let's find a way to make this retail and cater to like HNIs and like corporates. I think that's so phenomenal. Something you guys have done that I particularly love about Visions Opticals, and I'm sure people that know your brand love, is your ability to partner with global partners. I see Toks and Ama, I get an invitation in my email, oh, we have a partnership with Linda Farrow, we have a partnership with Celine, and I'm like, how are these guys doing this? And it's so interesting because when you think about an optical space, you never really think that far. So how have you guys been able to find these global partnerships, and what was that operational process like? You have your Celine, your Loewe, but it feels like Linda Farrow tends to be one of like your biggest partners. What was that process like in securing those partnerships?
Okay, so the key thing about the optical business, I'm sure like most businesses, is that it's about relationships, right? So some relationships were succession as well for me, like starting the business, working with my mom, meeting the partners and taking things on. There's some doors I've walked through where people are like, we don't do business in Nigeria. I feel it's almost a story about persistence, and you build credibility with relationships. So year in, year out, you consistently do business, you pay your bills, they get to know you, and then you build personal relationships with them. Simon came to Lagos. He's the CEO of Linda Farrow. He had an absolutely great time. He met his wife, he met his daughter, and hopefully it's a relationship that will go to the next generation. And that will be beautiful to see. And the key thing is that we're both passionate about eyewear. We both have a heritage of parents who had, optical businesses. So it's nice to see the legacy go through. And as you learn from your partners, you become better. Yeah. Right? I would say, there are things that we should do a bit better, like have everything more legalese and, protect ourselves and, be worried about things and have a lot of fear. But the key thing about the business is just honestly building relationships and honestly telling them the truth, showing them your country, showing them what you're good at, and then just going through the process. It's like, the Celine journey, that's really, really exciting because we knocked on doors. We were in Milan. We're like, okay, we're going to make this happen. And it's the persistence of just being audacious. I think this is what we want. This is what our market wants. We like to do niche. We like to do different. Working with the family that Celine is under is a really, really big deal. And we're so glad that we've been able to secure it. And we're so glad that over the next couple of years, it will evolve as well. Because fashion, aside from niche optical brands like Linda Farrow or Limburg or Chrome Hearts, the fashion business is also very important, especially in Nigerian culture. We like the big brands. So why not work with the best of the big brands? So understanding the optical business is also about understanding fashion, watching fashion shows. You should watch a bit more of that, but just knowing, especially at the start of 2025, what are the trends and how is that going to be integrated into the optical business? Because in all these companies, the business of eyewear is huge. You're looking at colors, looking at trends, making predictions and producing lines. And then B2C down to every single person who comes through our doors, and ensuring that the glasses fit, they look good. Yeah. We factor everything into our face shapes, to the color of our skin, and it's a very involved process. And I think what the big brands love as well, and all the brands we work with, is just how sort of audacious we know what we want, right? So you may work with a different optical store from a different part of the world, but Visions Opticals, Ama and Toksy, when we're buying, we know what we want and we get the best.
No, Ama, everything you said is so spot on. And I really like, you've highlighted three very important things. One you said is be bold, right? Be audacious. You said you guys literally went to Milan. You're going to knock on doors of Celine. And it's very easy as a Nigerian business owner to sort of say, why would those brands want to partner with me, right? Whether there's that negative bias perception of like African countries, which is very sad. And I know like times young people are actually changing that narrative with our businesses, our fashion, our culture. We are actually putting ourselves out there. So I'm very proud of Nigerian brands. I'm proud of my podcast. But you know, it's what you said was so key, like that perception of it's a brand from Nigeria. Do I want to partner with these guys? But the truth is, you guys are a case study. You're a success that it is actually possible if you're consistent. And if you show your partner, look, here are the numbers, here's what we're doing, here is us as a people, and then they trust you. And the point you also made about fashion, it's so interesting because I would never, so if I were in your shoes and I was working in the optical space, I promise you I don't think that I will have the idea to link fashion with opticals. And which is why I said I have to interview Toksy because you guys get it. Like, you've been able to look at the market space. Nigerians love fashion. Now, to the next question, you mentioned a challenge is perception, and maybe you can touch on more challenges as well that you probably face. But you had this activation with Linda Farrow. It was like a ping pong event. Sadly, I missed that, but I saw it online and I was so jealous. It looked really, really incredible. My question to you guys is, it feels like Visions Opticals has really got it when it comes to customer service touch points and marketing. How were you able to link the two to know that, look, this is going to be a success?
It seems like it's all a success right now. But if we take you back to where we started from, so when Amma started working with my mom, she left Goldman Sachs because my mom had some health issues. So she moved back. And technically, that's kind of how the succession started happening. It wasn't planned in our case. But basically, Amma came up with the idea to start having events. So her first event, I think my mom's aunt came. Yeah. And that one, I don't know why we decided to have it off-site.
Yeah.
So we thought that, Sky Lounge is really nice. I don't know if you remember it. Yes, Hotel.
Yes.
So we're like, let's have it there. Our clients would really love that. And then we displayed all the glasses and everything. Yeah, it was a nice location, but no one came. And we felt really bad.
Oh no.
And then we said, the next one, let's change strategy. This is not working. We adapt, we move.
Yeah.
Then we had the next one in store. Then be like, 5 or 6 people came. At least we got some people. But over the years, we just stayed persistent. And then we started changing up the events and people started coming and we were even shocked. We'd add like some little bites, drinks, everything. And then it's like a thing.
Yes, it is.
Our clients are like,
when is your next event?
So I think it's the years of experience. It's changing things. It's studying other markets. In fact, other markets look to us. They're like, Nigeria, they know how to have events.
It's so wild. Like some of the biggest people in the optical industry, the optical poet, he'll be like, they know how to party. Amma and Toksy throw the best parties in Nigeria. And you're just there thinking, is it us? You still remember that first event. And you said another brand earlier, Andy Wolf, like you got a pair of glasses from them, and then in Austria, in the middle of like we went there because this is what you have to do. You have to go to the ends of the earth to bring the best. But just thinking about events, we're like, okay, we want to do an event. Let's do this together. And I feel that the brands are really, really supportive of that as well. So the secret to some of our events is that we have like big powerhouses behind us saying, let's do this together, and it's wonderful. It's such a good feeling that something that seems so far away from like Austria, Nigeria, but people request for this product because you've opened the understanding and even showing like your clients the history of those brands as well, like just making it more more believable, more tangible. Exactly. Making those brands more tangible to the end consumer is also a beautiful thing to do. And I really, really enjoy it. Here's to more bigger and better events.
Yes, I agree.
So just taking back to Linda Farrow, it was months of preparation. We worked really closely with their marketing team. We put together the ideas. We worked on the guest list. There was like so much that went into that event, and we're really glad it was successful. And Linda Farrow's collection was a ping pong collection, so it was just perfect. We thought for the activation we would play ping pong, and it turned out to be really successful. And it all started in London when we went to the Linda Farrow office and we were speaking to their CEO. We just said it in passing. We had no intention at that time. We just said, oh yeah, by the way, since it's the ping pong collection, we're going to have a ping pong event.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay. And then we pushed, and then the CEO was like, he's going to come because he wants to see what we're doing in Nigeria. He wants to get to know the market, and he wants to grow with us. So these partnerships are so key. But when you have alignment, when you have the same values, it's easy. You work together to build.
Sky's the limit. And also they come to your market and they see opportunities you haven't seen. So it's kind of like they are sort of motivating you to be your best self. And another thing about events as well is the power of collaboration. You know, you can be standing there and say, okay, we don't have clients, but in that event, we worked with so many people. We worked with Zephia events from Kebong. They brought, like, we're just like, this, we want this. We want, like, we visualized so much, and they brought it to life. We collaborated with the Nigerian Table Tennis Association.
Stop it.
Do you see what I mean? So those guys were great. So, like, different facets came together to make that event work. And that was just really, really beautiful. Even in terms of the people in the background, helping us understand how to project ourselves, the Bobby Taylor company, all those guys. It just it's not about us anymore, but it's about different companies collaborating together to create a client experience. And it was not always perfect. People will say things like, oh, it was not nice. This was this. Like, you know, you want to cry. You're like, next time we're going to do it better. We're going to learn from this, and we're just going to keep pushing. But the key thing, when you want to present your business to the clients, it's about collaboration. You can work with other people. It will help you bring out your best. And I think that's also a key learning on the journey of events as well.
Yeah. Oh, no. Thanks, guys. And yeah, there are a lot of nuggets here both of you are sharing. And I'm just nodding and nodding because what you're saying is very, very significant. You started off by saying your first events didn't go well, right? And you said it was just like your mom's auntie who attended. And I can imagine as a business person who's then in that line of succession, how discouraging that would have made you feel, and probably even discourage you to the point of, why am I trying to link events with Opticals? What is the connection? But it seems like you guys just relied on your strengths. Nigerians like events. This is the trend. We want to also pull in a younger market that is growing, the young professionals. This is how you can actually cater to them. This is a huge customer touch point. So the learning is you guys were so persistent to the point that now your events, like you said, that's such a big deal. I remember when I would always ask you, I would ask Toksy, I'd be like, guys, so when are your next events? Simply because I can't even explain it. You're in the optical space, but your events are fun. They're so interactive. I get to try on glasses. I'm having canapes. I'm talking to friends. I'm meeting other people. You said, when you flew and you went to London, you went to Linda Farrow, but also being bold to also tell that international partner, oh, here's what we're going to do. Yes. And I think it's very easy as a small business owner to sort of take on their own ideas. Yes, learn from them, but take on their own ideas and then you sort of stay silent. But you guys were able to apply that local context of, oh, okay, you're doing this. Oh, we're going to do it, so we're going to execute. And I think that is so encouraging. Something that was also very touching. Amma first started working with your mom because of health challenges. And I just wanted to ask, when you had to come into that responsibility role, what was that like? Because first you were in Goldman Sachs, right, as a fund manager, and Toksy, you worked in Vitiva as well in finance. So both of you have strong financial backgrounds. So I guess starting a business or going into a business isn't something that would make you afraid. But what was it like moving to a completely different space, although you had seen your mom do it, but two, taking that succession, knowing that, okay, I have to be more responsible, etc. What was that like?
Okay, so this is a very interesting, fun story. So I made a choice and I made a decision, and I said, look, when you go back to Nigeria after your surgery, I'm going to go with you. And she's like, you sure? But anyway, I was on a sabbatical from work. So I was on 2 months. I knew I wanted to work in finance. I was like, okay, these are my companies. I'm going to interview with these people. These are the international organizations. At the time, JP Morgan, HSBC, they have trade finance offices. I knew trade finance. I knew everything. And, I started interviewing. I did a couple of Nigerian finance companies, because I knew this was going to happen. And then I would go with my mom to work. like just follow her because, you know, I'm here on like a 2-month spree and I have nothing to do. And then I would start to notice things and I'd just be like, why are they doing things on like, you know, I became a colonialist in my I'm like, we can do this better. I have, you know, a broad knowledge. And it's the interesting is how that whole thing humbled me. So after a month, I was like, clearly my mother needs support. This is a great business. I'm going to make it work. They're just making such basic mistakes and I'm going to fix everything because I have wings and I am superwoman. And then obviously you now get into the business. So I made my decision 2 months and my boss said, look, take 1 more month, figure this thing out. You settle with your mom and then come back to work. And obviously after month 3, I knew that I was staying because I knew there was so much to be done. And I felt that I knew it all. And I felt I could just transplant things, you know, from abroad into this context. And then you start to realize that there are nuances, understanding how people operate, understanding your staff, building on their strengths, understanding the clients. In my head, you have come in. Someone like, I can never forget this experience with a client. And I was talking to him about transition lenses and he was talking to me about the technology of it. And I was like, well, this. And he's like, he went into the science of it. And after a while, I realized that in this I'm arguing, trying to show this guy I know everything. He actually knows more than me. And he's like, do you have any certification? And I just thought, well, actually, I don't need it because I was, you know, spoilt and naive and, you know, young. And then that experience pivoted. My sister and I, so my sister would then join when my mother passed away. That simple experience with that client, it was probably like 5 years before, 6 years before, and he was like, do you have certification? Well, like, we can do this. We can become dispensing opticians. And, you know, it was in the middle of COVID, so it took a bit longer. It should have been 3 years, but I think it took like 4. Yeah. Right. And we did this amazing course, like understanding the science, the manual, like we went to the very nitty gritty of understanding how optical appliances help people see, recognizing diseases. Like we had practical exams. The whole thing was so intense. Every Tuesday we were doing homework. And those 4 years were transformational because now when we make business decisions about purchases for medical device, we understand the style. And that very singular conversation with that guy where he was like, do you have the certification? Because I actually do, and it's very important because you do think you know it best. I thought I knew everything. I would research, learn, do courses. So I thought I knew it all, but there's just always so much more to learn. So the ethos of our organization, and our staff know it as well, is just continuous learning, continuous improvement. We have to do courses. We have to learn things. We get our international partners to teach us. So we buy, but we get taught knowledge. So that's very, very integral to what we do. So every 2 days ago, I was doing a Zeiss myocare, and myopia control is a big thing about reducing myopia in children. And it's a global phenomenon. By 2050, 50% of the world is going to have myopia, and it's a big issue. So we have to solve for it.
What is myopia?
Myopia is short-sightedness. So it's the reason why most people wear glasses. Yeah. And because a lot of the kids are doing a lot more near work, they're not outside as much. Their focusing is on near things, and that just extends the length of the eye. It's called the axial length. And the longer the axial length goes, the higher the myopia goes. And the high, you could start off at -1, and by 17 you're -7, and that puts you up for different things like huge eye issues like retinal detachment. You could get glaucoma. You're predisposed to many things that you wouldn't have had if your eye length didn't get so long because you were short-sighted. So when you're short-sighted, you get a pair of glasses. Those pair of glasses extend your axial length, but they help you see better, and the process keeps going. But now in the last year, the myopia control lenses, and the beauty of working with Zeiss and working with a partner who really wants to invest in your market means that in Nigeria, we have these products registered so they can come into the market and we can sell them. You know, and before, a Nigerian child would not have gotten that opportunity for this life-changing lens in their glasses, but now they do. So the lenses have little concentric circles if you look at them really closely, and they fix things. So just sitting there, I'm doing this course because I have to keep learning, and my organization has to keep learning. And what my staff will say, and they're going to listen to this, is that you have to ask questions.
Yeah.
So even though the training you do, if you're on the call and you're not asking questions, that means you're not learning. And for me, that means you're not in my organization. So it's really, really important people to know.
Fantastic. No, I mean, yeah, you've shared about knowledge is absolutely just power. And it's very easy. I like the vulnerability that you shared about you thought you knew it all. It's very easy to sort of have that, like, I've gone to school abroad, etc. So therefore I know XYZ. And then you realize, no, you don't really know much. And that humility, because many people don't have that humility, but the recognition of that humility that, wow, there is a lot more to learn, right? There is more that I can be imputing in terms of value. Another thing is also realizing that you may have a certain way of work ethic, but then the people in your environment may not have that same mindset and work process thinking. But being able to work with people from different backgrounds, being able to understand the context in why they think in a certain way, I think that's where there's a lot of power in leadership. So to be able to hear you guys saying that your learning is so critical and you are able to identify that there were gaps, but you said something about going to sit in the office, right? And realizing that, wow, people doing things in such a traditional way. So for someone in the audience who's listening to this and maybe they're about to enter into a family business and they're wondering, I really don't know where I'm going to start from because it feels like these people have done it for years, right?
Yes.
Like Visual Opticals is what, over 30 years. It's very easy to feel very intimidated and to also feel like they're just going to see me as this madam's daughter or Oga's daughter. The Nigerian, let's not take away from our culture where they do look down on young people and sort of feel like, well, what credibility does this person have? And why should I listen to this person's child? But the truth is that in our youth, it's also a gift because we are hungry for knowledge, right? We're passionate, but it can feel very intimidating. But your boldness to sort of just say, this is what is missing and this is what I want to do. What are the 3 things you would encourage for someone who is going into a family business? What are the things that they need to look out for? Also, another thing is, Toksy, you had said something about how being Zeiss approved, your technology is actually like one of the best. I can attest to that because I remember on my last visit, before I had gotten these frames abroad. I think that Jimmy Farley or something, but I would always come to Vision Opticals to put in my prescriptions because after a while, when I'm misplacing my glasses for too long, I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's a time for a new brand. And I remember standing in front of your machine. I wanted to scream. I was like, what type of technology is this? I've been into Jimmy Farley, David Klulo. I've not seen this in any of the optical stores. But, you just said, oh, Zeph, it's fine. Just stand. And this thing just went. I was like, what's going on? But no, very well done for you guys taking on the advancements of technology as well. But yeah, so what are the 3 tips?
So I think Amma kind of paved the way for me. So she had done most of the hard work before I came. I think really it's about proving yourself. You have to, because there are people working there already, like you said. They're looking at you like, who do you think you are? So there is going to be some friction between the older staff that have worked with your parents before in the organization and you. So in our case, some of those older people left because really it was not working out and they were not aligning with the vision that we had. So I would say be prepared for friction. Know what you want. It is your family business. You've probably grown up with it. Like Amma said, we always used to go to the clinic after school. We used to go to fairs with my mom. It's already ingrained in you. It's part of your DNA. So you already know what you want for the family. Yes, your parents might have different ways of doing things because they've always done it. Like my parents would say, we've been running this business for X amount of years. You can't come here and say that. But no, they sent you to school. You've gained the knowledge. You have new ideas. You've seen different things from all around the world. Keep putting forward your ideas. Eventually, your parents will take them on. Yeah. So you have to keep showing that, explain why you have this point of view. Keep pushing your ideas. And eventually, the change will come. Anyone who's not on board will leave. And that's okay.
I think, where the idea even comes from initially, like, you need to just figure out what you want to do in the business. And a family business is the core, obviously, is an optical business, but there's so many different parts of it. What do you like? First of all, the first bit for me was technology. I wanted everything from paper to computer. I needed an optical system, and I just thought save your armor is just going to save the whole business. But your parents are sitting there going like, I'm going to be committing X amount of capital to this spurious idea. I've tried it before, it doesn't work. Why is it that it's going to work with you? And of course, I did the first couple of technology enhancements and they all failed. So the thing is, your parents have to invest in the fact that you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And they have to be comfortable with it, but that's because you have to do something. But you have to work hard. You have to act committed.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? So it's a balancing, because at the end of the day, dinner can be a nightmare. Toksy be like, oh gosh. So by the time she came home, we had already figured out how not to make a dinner a nightmare and how to separate
Work
from
family.
family. Like the two are intermingled, but there has to be a separation of duties at the same time. So that's what I'll add to it. Like, just figure out your place. And it doesn't have to be, I'm in charge of the technology. You may not be good at technology, but you may be good at marketing. You may be good at business development. You may be good at expansion. You may be good at research. Find your place, prove yourself. And it will take years for acceptance, but it's okay because you're committed to being there.
Yeah, it will come. No, guys, this is super helpful. I think the tips are very practical. It's very doable. And just to reiterate is, I like what you said about keep pushing the idea that your parents sometimes may just look at you like, what do you know about business? But like you said, the more that you're consistent and the more you keep doing it, they then realize this child really means business. And what you said about the comfort of letting people go, I think as young people getting into that space of building, whether it's our own business or generational wealth, etc., it's very easy to be stuck into the mindset of I cannot not work with this person because they've been there from a historical period. But really, that person could be the reason why the business is not scaling times 2 as it should be. But being bold enough to take on, like, this is a new frontier and it's time to bring in new minds very similar to us. And what you also said, Amma, about understand where your gift is, essentially. And I think it's very easy for people going into that family business to sort of feel like they need to know everything, and then it gets very scary and very overwhelming. But what is your gifts? And you said something. You said you can even do research. So some people may not even think that. They may feel, oh my God, I need to do ACCA, I need to do all these things, which those things, yes, are highly important, of course, but they may not even realize that as a starting point, if you're very good at research, this is a huge thing for the company to be able to support them. So you've actually said a lot, and I think people will 100% learn from this. It's interesting, like hearing your story and how you guys were able to push through. So well done.
Can I just say something about family businesses? Because I think family businesses are key, and people sometimes kind of look down on them. But the very concept of family at the very beginning, hunter-gatherers, then we started, building communities, and we started building families. And people then used to have many children, 10 children. Why? Because they needed to till the land. Everybody brought a part to create, I suppose, food or wealth for the whole. And they needed numbers because everybody has a different skill set. And I think that's the way to think about family business. Everybody does something really, really well, but you have a shared vision because guess what? You have shared values. And this is what companies do. Everybody has a mission statement, their values, but in the family, it's easy because you can imbibe it, you can teach it, you can grow with it. And it's really beautiful to see. I have nieces and they come to the clinic after work. And for me, they're just not coming to the business after work. It's like, I'm just seeing, history reiterate itself. So should you be more intentional with your family businesses? That is the question. I don't know. It's a real big question, but it's a really beautiful thing to see. And I think strength from a family, as you say, can yield exponential. And people like to be ashamed. I want to do this on my own. And why do you want to do something when you have the leverage of a group behind you who are holding you accountable, established, and giving you a sort of trampoline so that you have a platform that you can go as high as you can possibly go. So just take the leverage. Don't be ashamed. Everybody else in the world does this, and feel good about it and be proud of your family and what your family does, regardless of what it is, because you can transform anything into a beautiful, great business with a lot of great hard work and research. But
100%. I like that. Yeah.
And then I'll just like to add, like, even if you don't love what your parents do or you don't want to be a part of it, there's still another way you can be involved in terms of succession. You can be on the board, so you can give like direction from outside. You can still be a part of it, but not on a day-to-day, because it's good. It's your heritage. You should want to be a part of it. But like, I know we're not all interested in the same things, but I would advise that you still try and get involved in some way.
Yeah, no, I like that, guys. No, thanks so much. I like the board representation part, because I think a lot of people miss that angle. They just also feel like, I don't have the qualification, or maybe they're also just not interested. But there is a board angle for the sake of succession. And what people don't realize is that if it misses you, it may go to the next generation. Like you said, still be involved, because the next generation might actually have an interest in it. And, you know, what you also said, Amma, about just being very intentional.
if you were just a bit more intentional,
Yes.
if you just got your kids to go into your business, retail is easy, but whatever, if you just got them to feel it, it's tangible, let them touch it, be part of it intentionally, because you know that it may be something that might interest them. But if it's in a silo and they don't have an understanding of what you do, then it may not be something that's ever familiar. So it's just from a business owner, leader point of view, understanding that with the next generation, you may have to be a bit more intentional with how they get acquainted with what you do.
You do, yeah.
So it's not what you say, it's actually seeing you doing what you
You
do.
do. Yeah. No, I really like that. And it's what you said people in the world globally, like, they do it, right? Whether they take their kids into work, the child is sitting down and watching their parents at a desk, or, you know, calling the shots, or they give the child a little task like, oh, go on social media and check this for me. And you don't realize sort of like the domino effect that can have on that child, even just developing that self-confidence. I was reading somewhere where they said like the most confident kids and the brightest kids tends to be those that you're giving sort of like huge responsibility tasks to. So you're not just treating them as like, yes, you are a child in all sense, but you are telling them, oh, go and do this task because I think you can handle it. And then they develop, they learn. And for all you know, in 10 years, they're telling you, I actually want to be part of the family business. I think this conversation is so huge. I think particularly for African Nigerian businesses, we don't even realize it. And I think eventually there's probably going to be even institutions. I don't know whether this currently exists. I know there are family offices, but we don't really talk about these things enough. But there should be institutions, whether in Nigeria, that helps govern, structure family offices, consulting businesses being formed. And if you guys are out there, please reach out to me. Let's continue the conversation. Consulting businesses to help people set up their family offices. I mean, and I know that, yes, I'm speaking maybe from a place of quote unquote privilege, in that I am used to these things and there's awareness. But I think everybody should have a family office. It doesn't matter what caliber, but the structure of, okay, these are what your children do, this is what the parent does, you know, let's figure out how to help your business, even just from a point of like generational wealth. Like, how do you ensure that your great-grandchildren have like money to go to the schools they want to go to in the future? How do you help structure like a family asset? And just putting things in place is such a huge conversation.
That's the thing, because your family business happens and you forget about the good stuff. And, you know, we've had conversations with family office, they're great. And we tabled it for Q1 2025 to do things gradually, because the thing is, when you realize the amount of stuff you need to do, the enormity, you get a bit overwhelmed. And this happens in family businesses when things just seem too much. Like, I can't do it. But then what we said is, can we break things down step by step? And so we're going to go on this journey together, but it's crucial. You know, because families expand, and people have spouses. It's not so linear. It's not as easy, but having your values enshrined in a place that people can understand, then it makes it a lot easier. So it's key. And another thing I would say as well is parents sometimes do not want their kids to be part of the family. That's true. It's a very vital point. And they don't, because they've been entrepreneurs. You don't like have zero. It's values and trust. You don't have money. Sometimes you have a lot of money and you're like, you don't want your child to go through that experience. But as you said, both things hand in hand, regardless of what you are, regardless of how small it is, you have the structures in place. You have a shareholders agreement. You have your family constitution. Like, you build all those structures in, and you may not be where you want to be, but your child might be the person that takes your takes your business to the next level. So don't discourage.
Yes.
Encourage, because together you're stronger than being on your own. And I think so that's a warning to parents as well, just to not disparage, I would say, small beginnings, but realize that the next generation may be the answer, and it may take the business where it wants to go. There'll be a struggle. I don't know, all these people, everybody wants quick wins. There's a struggle, there's time factor, there's failure, but all those things make it easier for you to sort of face challenges.
And I like that. And I like that honesty, that as much as we are encouraging continuity of family businesses, correct, there are parents who don't even want their children. It's almost like a complete, I would say it's like you're taking away the opportunity, but for them, they may call it protection, right?
Yeah.
As what you said, the protection of, how do you deal with multiple people, or the protection of even dealing with huge amounts of, like, I don't want to say wealth, but like money, right? Is this child responsible or emotionally disciplined enough to be able to deal with so much liquidity? How are they going to manage things? Because there are, case studies where a child takes over a family business and the business goes down to the ground. But I think it's that, like you said, it's also maybe the discernment of the parent to realize where is each strength for each child. And according to that, push the child in that direction. So it mustn't be that because you do X, this child must do. That might not be the child's strength, but that child may be a creative person and can help in a different area of business. So I think just being able to like segment strengths in terms of like, my child is good at this, and then it then helps the business as a whole. But I love what we said about family businesses and putting structures in place. And trust me, I know people are 100% learning. Is there a world, just going back to your business in itself, we spoke about global partnerships and how important that was to secure. Is there a world where, as Nigerians, we produce our own local opticals, right? Is that optical? Yeah, we produce our own like local lenses, because right now we're wearing brands from abroad, which is great and it's nice and it's in trend. But is there a world where, and you guys are in the space, I don't know whether you've seen that. Are we there yet? And the reason I ask is you can't take away from the fact of what is currently happening in our economy today, right? A lot of like SME businesses are being affected. Even large corporations are being affected with the decisions they make, having to increase like, salaries of their staff because of inflation, etc., right? So it could be very discouraging for businesses. So for you who's in the space and you're working with international brands, you're importing these lenses, has this had an effect on your business? And do you see a world where we can sort of localize our own like frames and things like that?
I think we definitely can, but there's still some parts that we won't be able to get here. So there's still an aspect of importing materials that's still going to make the products pricey. So it is possible. The thing is, obviously, it's going to be capital intensive. Gonna open our factories, and the technology keeps changing. You have to keep abreast with what's happening globally, because there are some labs for sure in Nigeria that produce lenses, but after a while the technology becomes dated, and if you don't have the capital, you can't keep up, and really need funding from like probably Bank of Industry, and you need good partnerships, like we said. So we would need like a good partner that can work us through the whole process. And then there are two things. There's the lenses that go with the prescription into your frames, and then there's the actual frames itself. Amma, what else do you have to add?
So about the frames are beautiful because frames come out of family businesses. So we've spoken about different brands, Celine, Louis Vuitton. They are under like a family brand, an Italian old family that has machines, and they make the frames. So you're talking over 100 years of focus on craftsmanship. So those things are hard to buy. But the beauty is that the time we're in the market, there's technology. So maybe there is a bridge in manufacturing which works for a large demographic that may not produce luxury at first, but can produce a product that everyone can sort of adopt and everyone can purchase. So I would say that there is a different angle to look at manufacturing for frames specifically within our market. And as Toksy said, for lenses, there is a different manual for that, and it's capital intensive, but we can pretty much do anything. So watch this space and we'll see how it goes. But the key thing is being adept. The key thing is, I would also say that before those items get into our stores, like the VisiFit that you spoke about with all the cameras that takes the avatar of your face, and you could try on frames. Before that machine came into the store, we saw it 5 years before, and we said, this is what we want. And it took us first of all, we saw the prototype, and then it became a product, and then it came. But it took 5 years of getting enough capital, waiting. And similarly, our dream and our vision and our goal for what we want, some of the things don't seem tangible. You're like, this machine, this is how much it costs. You are racking your head, how are you going to get it? And then if you don't have that initial dream goal, you're not going to get it. That is what we had to learn. Because I would always say I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I do wake up in the morning thinking, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but you can learn it, and you can actually learn to dream. And how you learn to dream is you immerse yourself in your business. So regardless of the business you do, there will be a conference, a global conference. You don't even have to go now. You can log in online, get familiar with all the different verticals in your business. But if you're not in the space, then you're not going to see the opportunities. You're not going to have things to dream about. So you have to expose yours. You have to forcefully put yourself in dreamland there.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. And yeah, everything you said about dreaming big, very critical, and that nothing is impossible. Yes. And Toksy, what you said about just, it is possible to have that local adoption where we are the ones that are owning our craft, and whether it's in lenses, etc. But there's a long way to go. Something else you also highlighted is how those Italian houses, it's 100 years of craftsmanship, and which is why I particularly just love everything to do with like Italy, like the level of that craftsmanship, whether it's in that food or that culture, because they're also very big on legacy, right? And with everything that we're discussing about, and although I had asked the question of, is it possible for local frames? It's encouraging, but at the same time, let me not use the word discouraging. It just reminded me that that's why the work has to start now. Yes, because like you said, those guys have been doing it for 100 years. It just means that in Nigerian context, the work has to start now, and manufacturing remains a huge challenge to businesses across board. But if we can start it now, then our people are going to be so powerful, right? We already are, but it's like super power to the next level. So it is exciting, and thank you guys for sharing. And just before we round up, Visions Opticals has been in operation for over 35 years. Is there anything exciting that is in the pipeline that you'd like to share with us, right? And is there any impact work that Visions currently does that you would love people to know about?
It's just we're going to expand. We want to bring the good work we're doing to as many people as possible. So we're in the process of opening a new store at Wings on Ozumba. So we're really looking forward to that. And there's new machines, there's new technology there. So you should be able to get your eye test done in about maximum like 10 minutes. So we're really excited about that. And yes, we have other projects. Our key thing is looking for great locations. Once you find a great location, you're going to be seeing a lot more Visions Optical stores across the country. And also in terms of impact, yes, we do partner with like foundations that do give free eye tests and free glasses. So we do a lot of work with them. Also, we also do outreaches in churches, and we help people with albinism. There's just different areas. We always try and plug in. We always try and give back as much as we can. And sight is a real gift. We want people to be able to see. We also want people to be confident. So that's why we're including this whole fashion element. We want to style you. We want you to look beautiful, and really wish everyone a fantastic 2025.
Amazing. And another thing you did mention in our wing store, we're going to have an eye spa. That's our innovation for this year. So we wanted to try something different. We're committing this amount of square meters to this, But it's just really important because people work hard, and when you work hard on your eyes, and you don't realize the impact it has.
Yeah.
And just the idea of relaxation in terms of your vision and just coming down from your desk and going back refreshed, I think is going to work wonders. And there's so much. There will be a calendar of like different things we're going to do with the eye spa, but I think it will be interesting because people get to experience understanding their eyes in a completely different way, and we're excited about that. And it's a lot for us to learn as well, right? So it's a
guys, I'm very excited, and I don't want to get too sentimental in this conversation. I will not get too sentimental, but I think everything that we shared about the future, about the eye spa, for me really hits home. As you know, I'm such a huge wellness advocate. So I think that what I love about your brand is that you keep on finding ways to like scale your product offering to your customer base. And I think this is what the audience is really going to benefit from. You are not just a traditional optical store. You are going beyond to eventing, partnering with global partners, thinking of the wellness aspect of it. And of course, why I brought in impact, I'm very big on impact. What you said about donating to people, helping people see. We don't even realize how important that is, particularly in such an overpopulated area like Lagos, right? So Nigeria's population that is fast growing, but people who are even taking local transports. Sometimes I wonder the bus drivers that are driving. I know you guys have done tests, right, on this before. I can't remember whether you guys
actually
did. You haven't done it yet. You wanted to do. I remember the conversation. I remember whether one Vetiva, I think Toksy had shared this, and I thought, oh my God, this is such a great, impactful initiative, because I always wonder when you see the level of accidents, I'm like, can this driver actually see? Forget even the bus drivers, people that drive you, can they actually see? We don't take those initiatives to give back or to think that far, right? So I think, your space, there is so much. Someone who's also listening that has another business, whether in a similar health related space or something else, would also draw inspiration to realize that, wow, it's not just doing what my business currently does now. How can I think outside of the box? How can I be more futuristic? Where are the trends? Where are the gaps? How can I then also be impactful in context of my country? What are the challenges? So guys, it's been so helpful. This conversation can go on and on, but we'll round up with the last question. So last year, I would always round up by asking my guests, what is your prerequisite and why? I'm still thinking of what my last question will be for this year's guest, but I'm going to change it. So I'll start off first by maybe saying, what is your way of dealing with fear?
I'd say I'm fearless.
I love that.
Like, say goodbye to fear. I think the key thing is, as a Bible verse, be courageous. Like, the reality of the matter is that, okay, let me not lie, I'm scared of pigeons. And that fear is not going anywhere. But in terms of business, it's just, there's nothing to be fearful of, because what's the worst that can happen? You fail. Like, that's the worst that can happen. And once you're acquainted with that, everything is possible. Like, you have light bulb moments, write them down, and then look back. You just have your journal, write them down. And I think that journaling process will remove the fear, because you'll now be like, but we accomplished all this. How? And then, just reward yourself for your wins. And fear just becomes a thing of the past.
Amazing. And you, Toks?
And I'd say just do it. Like, whatever it is you want to do, literally, just do it. You may fail, fine. You've done it, you pick yourself up, do it again.
Yeah. I love that. No, guys, thank you so much. This was so impactful. And guys, you've heard it from Toks and Ama on Everything Visions Opticals. If you're interested to find out about, your prescription, your eye health, and also if you want to get on the guest list for that incredible immersive experiences. Another thing I did mention is they also have a Cocoa Beach installation. Yes. So when next you guys go to the beach, feel free to check out the installation at Mako's Cocoa Beach. It's incredible. But yeah, you can follow Visions Opticals. What's your handle, guys?
At Visions with an S, Opticals with an S. So at Visions Opticals. Follow us on Instagram and send all your questions, and DM us any eye-related questions as well.
And they'll be able to answer. So guys, that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels at The Standard World Pod. Thank you guys so much for your support for the past 1 year. 2025 is even going to be bigger and greater with all the incredible guests. You've learned so much today about continuity of a family business, marketing, global partnerships, how to do things in such an audacious way, and to take charge. Happy New Year. Thanks again for listening. Bye.